I went to London to film comedians and asked them how tough is stand-up comedy. There are currently over 800 pro comedians on the comedy circuit in the UK. There will be interviews with Lauren Pattison, Steve Parry, Matt Richardson and David Morgan.
Well, hello, I am Lauren Pattison, I am 23 and I'm a comedian from Newcastle.
Hello, my name's Steve Parry, I'm a comedy writer.
Hello, I'm Matt Richardson and I am a comedian and presenter and radio host.
Hello, my name is David Morgan and I'm a stand-up comedian.
It was in this pub called the Chillin' of Moms, which ironically, once I'd started uni and I was living in student houses, was my local pub.
I got into writing, I guess, when I was probably in my teens, but obviously not professionally. I was doing it for fun with my friends. We used to do a fanzine. Now, a fanzine was before the internet, so essentially like a blog, really, or a little magazine that we put together, and we put this magazine together about the local music scene in our area.
I started stand-up comedy when I was 18. I was at university. I went to Oxford Brookes and I really didn't like it. So I decided I'd do stand-up because I've always wanted to be a comedian since the age of 14. So I started university, hated it, and there was a little comedy night and I applied for the next one to do a 5-minute spot. There was a little email at the bottom of the poster and they gave me a spot and that's how I started.
Given up on my idea of being an actor, and I was living with a boy at the time called Mark, and he broke up with me and I was devastated, and I didn't have that many friends in Leicester because I was in a relationship and blah blah. So I knew Leicester had a comedy festival, so I searched out an improv group called Batman Teddy Improvise.
I think the toughest thing about being a comedian, which I kind of didn't really, maybe not necessarily expect when I started, but didn't think about when I started, is it is quite a lonely job. I think people think, oh, it must be dead fun, you're gigging in front of loads of people every night, blah, blah, blah. And it is, but then you do spend a lot of time on your own.
In a little bit of stand-up comedy, which I really enjoyed. It was great fun. And did that, and then, but always, because I needed to try and find a job or try and find a career, something to do, I ended up writing.
The toughest thing about being a comedian is the travelling, I'd say. I love travelling and I get to travel all over the world doing it. I've been to everywhere you can imagine. I've been to Australia, the Middle East. I've been to America lots to do work. And I love that. I love travelling far away, but all the travelling in the country, so driving up and down the motorways every single night, sitting by yourself, it can get quite lonely. And I really struggle with that. It's very boring, just sitting in a car for 3 hours to a gig and then sitting in a car 3 hours home. So I'd say that's the hardest thing for me.
The toughest thing about being a comedian is only being answerable to yourself, because I let myself off quite a lot, and then other times do not let myself off even the tiniest thing, and it's very troubling as to which way. I'm the worst, most unpredictable boss you've ever had.
I think audiences are far more likely to have a preconception about you, or to sort of judge you before you've opened your mouth. I think if a lad walks on stage, they're like, oh, it's a comedian, he is going to be funny, and if he is, great, and if he's not, they're like, oh, he wasn't very good. If a woman walks on, I think, not everyone, some people are good, but I think some people are more likely to be like, oh God, it's a woman, oh, she's going to be shit.
If I won the lottery, yeah, I'd still be a writer.
If I won the lottery, I would definitely still want to be a comedian.
Probably not, no. If I won 50 million, you mean? Oh yeah, no, I'd quit straight away. I'd still do little gigs here and there maybe, but I'd just go and travel the world and go and have a luxury life.
If I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, so I'd have to stay a comedian. Actually, no, I would. I really would. And I would use the money to invest in myself and other people, I think. I think what's great about new technology is it allows you to self-publish so much stuff. And the problem we have is you can self-publish it, but it's very difficult to market it without much budget. So that's what I'd use it for. I'd make good stuff and market it well.
I found out that no matter how much comedians get paid, they would still do their job because they're passionate about it. The one thing I learned is comedy is a lonely job, and this is the factor that may put new comedians off the job, but despite this, all the comedians I interviewed were passionate about it and this never put them off.